in Imaginatik, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here today to talk about measuring innovation results. This is something that we've seen quite a bit of interest in out there in the marketplace. It seems to really be an important topic, and we're delighted to have all of you on the line here today to discuss that. I'll be joined by Molly Luther, who is our product marketing manager and really the driving force behind both the market research we did into the core value here, and also the driving force in terms of developing results engine, which we'll be showing to you today. Just a note before we get started, please do send us your questions. Molly will be leading the Q&A session towards the end of this broadcast. Due to the large number of attendees, we will be answering all questions at the end. But at any point during the broadcast, you can type those into the chat panel on the GoToWebinar control panel. So we will try and address all of your questions towards the end. And with that, let's get started. If we can start with the first slide here. So Imaginatik has been around for 15 years, serving idea management and innovation at some very large organizations, doing some very major things in terms of treating innovation like a core competence. And we've learned a lot over those 15 years, and especially recently as we've seen the discipline of innovation grow bigger, become more entrenched inside today's clients and organizations around the world. And one of the things that has been most striking is the way in which innovation is becoming more and more connected to core business value, that it's becoming part of a driver of what your organization is trying to do as a business. So if we go to the next slide, we can look at some of what that means on the ground. We have watched the ability for our clients, and maybe you could say the world in general, to run very successful innovation campaigns where really good ideas are generated, potentially on specific topics. Often we see that these ideas can be clustered into really great potential projects to explore, and we have become very good at helping our clients spearhead the ability to come out with a great set of ideas which can lead to some fantastic innovation. And those of you who are Imaginatik clients, you know that we will often work with you to run that whole process so that the way in which you collect ideas matches the kind of business value you seek to get, even if you don't know exactly what it is at the front, and then use that to drive powerfully towards actual results. Nonetheless, we have seen in many cases that innovation still can be disconnected from the actual execution on the ground. Often this is even though a very clear initiative has been defined, there are stakeholders present and eagerly anticipating the results, there is still often a period in which these ideas and clusters of concepts, once they have been reviewed and moved over, there's often a lot more work to do. They often become very significant projects to explore where these ideas should go and figure out how they should be seeded into the real world. Sometimes this underwater part of the iceberg is at least as large as coming up with those concepts in the first place. And we have watched as many organizations have struggled with the right way to connect the dots on each side of first coming up with those new ideas and directions that can lead to a major innovation, but on the other side actually knowing where it went when it was implemented or as it was explored and turned into reality, and closing that feedback loop on both sides, both so that the ideas feed the business in the best possible way, and that those who help spearhead innovation can watch what happens, learn from it, and really create those embedded connections that drive innovation on the ground. So if we go to the next slide. Now we have seen this work. There are a number of cases that we have documented over the years of major results that have been achieved and that we know were true, and that various clients of ours have been able to keep tabs on this. However, in many cases, some of the examples you see here are specific ideas, not even an entire challenge or initiative that led to a certain documented value. And we know, both anecdotally and in some cases through evidence, material evidence, not all of which, of course, we are allowed to share publicly, that the overall value of innovation with our clients is much larger than these numbers here would represent. But in many cases, it's either ad hoc documented or the connection is difficult to establish. In those cases, it works well. We know that it creates powerful successes along several dimensions. First of all, it demonstrates value. Those of our clients who have been able to demonstrate the kind of results they achieve often get much greater traction in driving their program forward. Innovation becomes a much greater driver of business success overall. It also increases relevance in the sense that the more that innovation can work directly with the business, whether or not you quantify the results, and that's the most important thing, the shared sense of purpose that comes when results can flow from the original ideas leads to a much greater connection such that innovation initiatives do tie really closely to the kind of needs that exist in the core business. And of course, for those innovation leaders on the call today, the ability to learn and improve by knowing in full detail what happens after you've collected ideas and moved them on into real tangible successes is invaluable for being able to show success upwards and also know how to design and improve your program going forward, who to work with, in which ways, which initiatives tend to show the most fruit, how do you involve participants, and all the rest. And so for all these reasons, it became apparent to us, thanks in no small part to a number of you having asked us to really develop new abilities in the areas of showing results, documenting, measuring results, that we have developed Results Engine. And I'd like to introduce Molly Luther, who's going to talk a little bit more about exactly how we did that and what we have today. So Molly, I'll turn the stage over to you. It's all yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. As Chris mentioned, what we're trying to achieve with the Results Engine is to help make some of that downstream hard work of innovation a bit easier to manage and to track and to really measure. So a couple months ago, we launched a project here to research what work do our clients need to do downstream from actually generating ideas and evaluating which are the top concepts. What does that process look like for them after they make those decisions? And we talked to a number of clients and prospects and look generally at the market as well to get a good sense for what are the needs here, who are the stakeholders, and what role can Imaginatik play in making this whole back end of the innovation process work easier and more efficiently and help ensure good, stable results. So as a result of that research, we kind of came up with these larger goals for the project or the Results Engine product that we developed. We knew that if we could tackle some of these big things, we would have made a significant impact on the work that our clients do. And these needs came directly from them. So our goal here with Results Engine is to help innovation teams create transparency and accountability between a number of different stakeholders in the innovation process, and then also give them a central place and a transparent place as well to record and measure outcomes from their innovation activities. So through discussions with our clients, we started hearing trends of what were people struggling with and where could we help them make that downstream work easier. And I think a lot of these things will probably resonate with you guys on the phone as well. For example, at Solvay, the innovation team was really struggling with kind of the black hole syndrome. They were starting to hear from their community, we really enjoy participating in innovation challenges and sharing our ideas and collaborating with other people on solving business problems and opportunities. But we're a bit disheartened by what happens at the end of this process when we're told what top ideas are coming out of the challenges, but we don't often have visibility into how those top ideas are being managed as projects and what benefits the organization may be getting from those. There's some communication you can do, of course, with newsletters and keeping the community abreast of success stories. But what they were really starting to demand was a way to just proactively on their own go see what's happening with my ideas that are being implemented. what's happening with the ideas that I was really engaged in around a certain topic. Let me see, whenever I want, what's going on in the back end of the innovation process. To look at a couple of the other needs as well, at Goodyear, one of the things that they talked a lot with us about was needing kind of an interim place to incubate or further develop promising concepts that maybe aren't ready for implementation yet. So they needed sort of a staging ground for projects to say, here's kind of a cluster of top ideas that we know could have a big impact on the business. But we need to build the business case, we need to do some more research and legwork before we can really pass this on to a business department or a business unit or a function or something for them to really take the project and run with it. So they were looking for kind of an incubation area that they could use to form teams around promising ideas and really manage the work that it takes to drive those into projects. At Bombardier, one of the things that we were working on with them was the concept of creating accountability, both for the project teams responsible for implementing top ideas and also accountability between those project teams and the innovation team, who's often measured by the results of those projects. So Bombardier, we're looking for a place to hold project teams kind of accountable for the benefits that they said they would achieve through some of these projects. So giving them a working space to track projects. And then, of course, Pitney Bowes, who's a wonderful client that has quite a mature reporting and tracking process, was really looking at a way to make the reporting of metrics from projects more efficient, more transparent again, and more reliable. So giving them sort of a dashboard of what am I achieving across the entire pipeline of projects that I've helped instigate within the business. So all of these were some of the needs that we were hearing from our clients, and even from prospects as well. We were seeing these trends kind of across both of those audiences. So just to kind of reiterate some of the big stakeholders here, we've got innovation leaders, of course, who are very intent on measurable outcomes, where they can demonstrate the impact that the idea management and even the central innovation team is having on the business. You have the innovation community who's looking for global transparency and knocking on the door to say, let me see what's happening with projects after top ideas are selected. And then you've also got project teams that we're enabling internally within our clients and that don't always have a good workspace to continue the implementation of projects. And at the center of these three stakeholders, we've got the central innovation team, which is often who we're working closest with within our customers. And they're in the unique position of sitting amongst all these stakeholders, having to meet their needs, of course, and then also having to meet some of the innovation team's specific needs as well. Some things to keep in mind, I think, about the central innovation team, and that we learned through our years of experience working with them is while they are meeting these needs of the various stakeholders, it's interesting that they're not responsible always or most often for actually funding, staffing, and implementing the project that they help instigate. They're responsible for enabling their internal teams with ideas, with methodologies in ways of generating ideas, tackling problems, evaluating ideas, and hopefully seeing those top ideas through to measurable outcomes as well. Oftentimes, though, this central innovation team needs to work with the existing processes and workflows of their internal clients. They don't see it as part of their mandate to give the process or necessarily the platform always to the internal teams that they're working with. They need to be very flexible and very accommodating to the way that their internal customers work. And of course, for Imaginatik, that means that every one of our customers is unique, and they all use our system in slightly different ways. And so we needed to build a very flexible back end that could accommodate not only the different types of clients that we work with, but also the varied and the different types of internal clients that our customers work with. So flexibility was really key here. And I think you'll see quite a bit of that in the results engine. So just to answer maybe one of the common questions that we get around the results engine, and then I'll jump right into the demo and we'll look at the system in the works, or live here. And one question we get not often from the innovation teams, because they're kind of the ones that helped us understand the answer to this, but was there's obviously project management and product portfolio management, product life cycle management. These are all very well established areas of practice and are supported by robust and mature platforms. So sometimes analysts or other people ask us, well, why should someone use results engine when these other things already exist? And that was a key question that we needed to understand from our customers as we kind of embarked on this new product. And what we heard from them loud and clear was, I'd say a vast majority of the time, our innovation teams don't have access to those types of platforms. If they do, it's a minority of their internal customers that are using them already. Maybe they work with an R&D department who already has a stage gate process and a very rigorous and well-structured way for implementing projects. But that's maybe one of the 15 internal clients that they work with throughout a year. And those other 14 people, those other 14 teams or sponsors of business challenges really didn't have an affordable or an appropriately scaled project management tool at their disposal. What we heard many times was Excel is easiest for those kind of ad hoc project teams or teams that didn't have a rigorous process. People were comfortable in Excel, and that's where a lot of the tracking work ended up taking place. The problem with that, of course, is that it's not transparent and it's very closed, or maybe they put the Excel spreadsheet in a database that the community could access, but it wasn't a very customer-friendly way to expose that information. And maybe it was just on someone's desktop, so really a couple people within the organization had visibility into what was happening in the back end of the innovation process. So really our goal with Results Engine is to provide an alternative to these heavier tools. We're not looking to replace them when they're being used well, but we did want to provide our central innovation teams with an affordable, flexible and more transparent option that's connected directly to the front end of their innovation process, how they're generating ideas, evaluating them, and then now they'll have the ability to graduate the top ideas into projects as well. So with that, I'm just going to leave the PowerPoint here and we'll go over to the live demonstration. And then we'll take people's questions here at the end of the demonstration. So right now I'm in the results engine, just to give you kind of an overview of what we're going to look at here. This is the central dashboard that gives people a flavor for what type of work is going on in the results engine. And we'll come back to this in a bit and look a little bit more closely at it. But I'm going to go into the projects area and show you how we create projects directly in the results engine, and what type of information we can manage about those projects, and how we can even drill down into certain processes and look at what's happening there. And then towards the end of the demo, I'll look at the process design and just show you very quickly how easy it is to design your workflows or your processes that you want to track, and the supporting forms that help record the work that happens in each of the stages of your process. The results engine is very configurable. It molds to the way that you work. We're not telling you here's the processes that you have to choose from. Use the ones that are closest to your real life situation. We give you a platform on which you can reflect your current ways of working. So I'm going to just jump into the projects area. And we'll look at the process of creating a project, just kind of the simple 1, 2, 3 steps of it. I can just click on the New Project button. You can submit projects directly to the results engine, but we have also connected the results engine to Innovation Central, so you can graduate ideas from a challenge directly into the results engine. But we also know that the innovation teams that we work with have lots of different ways of generating ideas and instigating projects. And we wanted to provide the results engine as a central place to track projects that come from a variety of different sources, not just the ideation process followed in Innovation Central. So if I were to click on the Create New Project button, the first decision I'd have to make here is what process is this project going to go through? And I could choose from any of the number of processes that are set up in the results engine. I'm going to look at the new product development process here for our example. I'd select that and it'd give me a preview of what's the workflow that the project would be working through. I'll click next here and I just simply give my project a title and then we can input some of the properties, some of the characteristics of this project. You've got the ability to limit the visibility. If it's a private project, you can limit visibility just to those people that you name as part of the project team. And if it has ideas associated with it, you can automatically give those idea authors visibility into what's happening with their ideas through this project as well. But you just simply, enter the team associated with the project, input milestone dates to help drive the workflow, and enter some other characteristics about the ideas, or excuse me, about the projects. And these are the types of properties then that we can require across all projects in the pipeline and thus roll them up into the dashboard metrics. So for a lot of customers, these examples here are things that we heard as kind of common properties that were very important across all of our customers. Understanding the mix of projects that you're working on. Are we focused on quick wins? Are we looking at longer term projects as well? What's the mix of different types of projects in our portfolio? Linking projects to strategic initiatives was also important to them because a lot of times the program is measured on the impact they can exert or help feed into different strategic initiatives. So that link between strategy and projects and thus outcomes was important to clients. And then, of course, value. The value of projects is very important and one of the key things we're tracking in the results engine. Many clients talk about the project value in a qualitative manner. They're maybe most interested just in a rough, low, medium, high value, designation. And maybe that's what they use initially until they have more information and can put a more specific value on projects. But of course, being able to track a currency value for a project is also very important unless it helps us measure the value of the overall pipeline that we're working on. So then inputting these types of properties, a description about the project, and then saving it is kind of the 1, 2, 3 of creating a new project. What we'll look at next then is I'm going to show you a submitted project and just walk through the different types of information that we can track about a project and how we can gather information as a project's worked on to keep track of all the work that's being done around it. So here we're looking at a new product, a new bike insurance product. I can see it's going through my new product development process. It's currently in the business case stage. And then I've got a series of tabs here that help me organize all the information about the project. The first one is the properties, so these are the things we just talked through. The second one, tab, gives me access to the original ideas that maybe instigated this project. So if this was associated with ideas that were generated in a challenge, I can make that original content available from the project so it can easily be referenced and it can persist with the project. The second or third tab here that we'll look at is an area where we can store and manage different forms that are associated with the various stages of a process. So when we're designing a process like this new product development one, we can also design forms that support each of the stages of the process. And it's through these forms that the project team records, all the work that's being done related to the project. So in the scoping phase, we may have a series of forms that the team needs to complete. And when that work's done, they can graduate the project into the business case stage. And during that stage, we've got another set of forms that the team would create in that stage. And in this area, we just have a history of all those things that have been completed as the project moves through the various stages. So to just show you an example of one of those forms, I'm in the business case stage, and maybe I'm the team member responsible for starting to build the business case. I could click on the option here to create the business case form, and I'd simply start walking through the information required in this stage, putting in my executive summary, thinking through how this project aligns with different needs and strategies, thinking through risk analysis and cost-benefit analysis. And this is just a form to give you an example of the types of things that we can design here. You have various field types: long text fields, short text fields, drop-downs, dates, number fields. So it's a very flexible way for us to accommodate the information and the work that needs to be done in each stage. So that's an example of a form here. And then, as I mentioned, as things move through the process, the form section is built out to record all the information gathered. The files section is somewhat similar to that, in that you may have work that's done outside of the results engine as well, and other types of templates or means. Maybe you do your cost-benefit analysis in an Excel template. You can do that in Excel and then upload it so it's an attachment that supports this project. So that's another way to just kind of supplement and work on projects. The next section, we have a wall associated with each project. And this is a way for the project team to post quick status updates on a project, to ask each other quick questions perhaps, and just to basically keep the people interested in a project abreast of what are the latest developments or things that they should know. The last two sections are a way for the team to record actions and also to communicate through email related to a project. Within the action section, we can create actions for ourselves and for other team members. And this helps teams just keep track of some of the more day-to-day minutia that has to happen to drive a project forward. And depending on how the team works, they may choose to use this, they may choose not to use it, but they have the ability to create actions simply for themselves and for other team members. They can just save an alert and somebody would be notified to a new action that they've been assigned in relation to a project. And we can see who's responsible for what actions, which ones are past the due date, when have things been completed, etc. In the email section then, another one of the customer needs that we heard across the board was that sometimes it's members of the central innovation team that are responsible for reaching out to project team members and asking, what's the latest on the project? I need an update. I'm getting ready to do my quarterly reports or something. And they need an easy way to see kind of the history of communications related to a project. So through the emails tab here, we can simply send a new email to the project team or other people associated with the project, and then see a history of what communications have been sent in relation to this project. It just helps sometimes members of that central innovation team keep track of the latest touches they've had with the project team. So that's a quick run through of what it's like to create a project and then all the different types of information that you can track around projects. So I'm going to continue on through the results engine, and we're going to go back to the dashboard now. And and just talk a little bit more about how we can roll those properties that I showed you, how we can roll them up into metrics that reflect, kind of the status of the pipeline that we're working on, all projects in the results engine, regardless of what process they may be going through. So here we can get a sense for how many people are working on the various projects that are underway here. So you can get a sense for how many people are engaged in this phase of our innovation process. And what's the distribution of projects through the different processes that we're working on. We've got, just a simple way for you to see how many projects are in each of our processes. How many projects are these different sponsoring groups working on, to get a sense for who's utilizing this back end of our innovation process and who's working in the results engine with me. Some other things then is rolling up some of those value metrics that we talked about. So what's the distribution of projects between that kind of qualitative low, medium, and high value measure? Just so you have a sense for, are we over-focused on one type of project? Are we under-focused on another? Do we have a good mix of projects in our pipeline? And of course, rolling up, the total value of projects in the results engine as well. So you can see the total value in dollars here, and then how that's divided between projects that we're currently working on and things that have already been, fully completed, and, we could kind of consider, that value or benefit in the bank. So that's a quick look at the dashboard. We're going to go into a couple of the other views and ways you can look at projects then. If I'm a member of a project team, I can easily come in and see, what projects am I working on. I have quick links to all of those. What actions do I need to focus on across all the projects I'm working on? And also, just a quick look at, what's open, what's currently being worked on in the results engine. One of, I think, the most useful and interesting views we have is projects by process, which allows us to drill down into a specific process and really see what's going on in here. What's the story of this process and the projects going through it? So again, you can look at any of the processes that you're tracking in the results engine. I'm going to show, for example, our new product development one here again. I can see what are the stages of the process, who in the organization is responsible for them, what % is a project considered complete when it's in one of these stages, and a quick count of how many projects are in each of the stages of this process. As we scroll down the screen, then we'll give you a couple visuals to help bring this information to life as well. The first of which is a cityscape that helps us see, just stacks up projects based on which stage of the process they're currently in. This may help you see bottlenecks in the process. Are things getting stuck in development, or is it natural to have, a higher number of projects there? And also a sense for, do I have enough projects in scoping that based on, the attrition rate of this process, that I'm going to get enough things out of the back end and through to the launch stage. As I scroll down here then, another visual or graph here that we give you is looking at kind of projects, kind of their trajectory or their path that they take through the process. So if I highlight one of these projects, I can see this manufacturing process and the path it took through our new product development process here. And the bottom axis is showing us, the number of days it was in each stage. So it flew quite quickly through the beginning of the process, and then it was in testing and validation for quite a while. And maybe that's natural, maybe that's an indication that it got stuck there, and it's something I could do to help the project team or the owner of that stage to kind of grease the skids or make that go faster next time. And otherwise, projects that have zipped right through as well, what can I learn from those projects, and how can I teach that information to other teams to make everything go faster? Also looking at things like the median time in each stage, just to again help you see how smoothly is this process working, how many days is it taking basically for projects to clear a stage. And then towards the bottom, a table of all of the projects related to this process, and you can export this to Excel. You can also, sort our tables by any of these columns to see them by the next reminder that's coming up, or their process or progress through a process. So looking, drilling down into projects by process is one of the views that we give you. There's other ways to report and see things as well. But I'm going to next just go into the process design space of the results engine, and to show you very quickly how easily you can design these processes and the supporting forms. So if I move over there, I'm looking at a different process now. I'm looking at our corporate innovation process, just a model of maybe a more complex process you may track in the results engine. And we've got a simple drag and drop interface to visualize your processes and to add new stages. So I could edit the properties related with this overall process. I could simply add a stage by dragging a new stage onto my map, and then filling out some of the information related to that stage, like what stages come before and after it, and what forms do I want the team to complete during this stage. I can select one or multiple forms that's available during the stage. Who's responsible for the stage, and what percent is a project considered complete when it's in this stage. So that's just a quick example here of how you can build the processes and modify them and work with them as you use the results engine. Next, we'll just look at what it's like to then design the forms that you assign to different stages of a process. And again, we're using a very simple drag and drop UI to create sections of your forms and to just simply add new pieces of information that are required at this stage. So, for example, I could just drag a new number field onto my form and then answer a few questions about it. Give it a field value or a label here, and then because it's a number field, I can get more specific based on the field type to say, this is a currency field, I want to automatically assign our currency symbol to it, or decimals are okay, or no, I only want to allow whole numbers. So you have a lot of control over the workflow or the experience that people have as they're gathering information in each of the different stages, because you have complete control over the layout and the design of the forms that you use. So that's kind of a quick tour of the results engine. Because I know we have quite a few Imaginatik customers on the line, I wanted to just quickly show you what this process is like when you're coming from an Innovation Central challenge, just to kind of bring the experience full circle for them. So if I'm in an Innovation Central challenge, I can click on a specific idea and I can graduate an idea into a project in the results engine, simply by clicking on the option to send it to the results engine, and that would then take me through the 1, 2, 3 of creating a new project. Another option is to bundle multiple ideas and select them all and send multiple ideas to the results engine at one time. Then all of these original ideas would be associated with a single project and could be managed by a team. If I went back, if I was participating in a challenge and that challenge was associated with the project in the results engine, anybody reading that idea would have a quick link to that project in the results engine as well, just to make sure that people can easily find projects related to the ideas that they're interested in. So that's just a quick look at one of the ways that we've kind of built connected Innovation Central and Results Engine to help create a streamlined process through ideation, decisions, and into the project and results phase of the innovation process. All right, well that is kind of a conclusion of the demo. I'm going to just go into GoToMeeting here and see what types of questions we've got. All right, here we've got one question from the audience asking if they can have multiple results engines assigned to different groups, or if everyone in that they work with internally needs to use the same results engine? That's a good question. We do give you the ability to have multiple results engines. So if you have internal customers that kind of want to segregate their projects and have their own results engine to work in, their own place to manage projects, teams, and kind of their own group dashboard, you can have multiple results engines assigned to different groups, or you can have everyone work in the same results engine. We're flexible. We can go either way on that one. Let's see. Going to the chat window again, we have a second question. This relates to what we were talking about with transparency. And the question is, what if I don't want the entire innovation community to have access to the results engine? That again is another option that we've made configurable. While we've heard from clients that transparency is kind of across the board a high priority for them, we did anticipate that that there'd always be exceptions to that rule, and we accommodated that kind of in two different ways. The one way would be to control who has access to the results engine at the highest level and say, my project management team is going to be the ones using the results engine, or only my central innovation team is going to be using the results engine, and you can limit access just to those groups. The other option is to just restrict access to projects on a one-off basis. So I showed that quickly when we were creating a new project. But if you wanted to just say everyone can have access to the results engine, because transparency is one of the goals I'm trying to achieve, but I want to be able to accommodate more private projects as well, you can restrict those on a one-off basis too. The third question that comes through the chat here is, what difference do you cater for when there are collaborative projects, like 20 different organizations? I'm not sure I completely understand that, but I'll do my best to answer that. I may have touched on it a bit with some of the previous questions. If we talk about kind of the number of projects that you can accommodate in the results engine, it is it can handle hundreds or thousands of projects. It is a relatively new product, so we do, as customers use it and grow with it, in essence their kind of stockpile of completed and open projects grows. There are a few things we would tweak, but it can handle projects from multiple organizations, and obviously lots of projects from each of those. So quantity isn't really an issue when it comes to accommodating multiple groups. And all of the groups can manage their own processes and can manage their own forms as well. So you can give players from those different organizations different levels of access, so they can come in and manage their processes and their forms and kind of take control of kind of their corner of the results engine. So hopefully I answered that question all right. Another question here is a question regarding how often we're going to release updates for the results engine. If you're an Imaginatik customer, you're probably quite familiar with our updating process. We release new versions of our product quite frequently, and that's going to be no exception with results engine. Version 1 was released in November. We've already started work on version 2 that's underway right now and will be available in the next couple weeks. In the second version, we are focused on responding to some of our beta customer feedback and making sure that we accommodate or listen to the feedback that they've shared with us as far as their experiences have gone so far. And the other priorities that we're working on in version 2 are expanding the configurability of project properties in the dashboard to make sure that customers can track those metrics most valuable or meaningful to them. Version 3 of Results Engine will be planned for later this spring, and we'll be looking at accommodating or expanding our workflow capabilities, so automating some workflow through processes and even maybe accommodating parallel tracks through a process. So just kind of stepping up the game and making the process capability a little more sophisticated too. The next question feeds into that a bit here, asking if projects can be moved you know, basically over to the warehouse, which is another one of our Imaginatik products, after a specific length of time in the results engine. That will be something that we are definitely going to do with the results engine, give you kind of an archiving or a saving capability, so you can say, I'm done working on these projects, I kind of want to clear them out of the results engine, and you know, just to keep things current, up to date, and organized. So doing that based on the age of a project is something we'll definitely consider. I think this will probably be in the V3 discussion, just to give you a little indication as to the time frame for that. But it is definitely one of those things we have planned. We've got another question that's come in here. It's a bit of a long one. Are you limited to current breakout, or can you assign the way you want to break out your projects? For example, you have projects by process type, sponsor, and group. Could we add things like region, industry, open innovation versus internal innovation, etc.? That's another great question, and that's what we're one of the things that we have definitely slated for version 3 of the results engine, is giving customers the ability to control all of the project properties, to give them the option to say, I want to use these properties that were suggested by Imaginatik. Maybe I'm less interested in some of these. I want to disable some of these other options, and I want to add my own properties as well. I have other types of things I want to track across all projects, like the things you mentioned with region, industry, open versus internal, etc. So in V3, you will definitely have the ability to control the properties to that level, where you can add your own properties to track. There is another question in here. It's great. We're getting lots of questions through. This question pertains to our roadmap for the results engine as well. Do you have plans in your roadmap to support the creation of a business case and decision-making processes with functionality and intelligence that go beyond registration and reporting? Let me think about that for just a second. The results engine can accommodate that need I kind of described, and in my presentation earlier I talked about it from the perspective of Goodyear, where they were talking about having a place to incubate and work on ideas before they're really ready to be handed over to a project team. And yes, you can design a process in the results engine that reflects the kind of the incubation or that additional work process or workflow that you need projects to go through before they're really ready to be, maybe transitioned into another process in the results engine. All right. It looks like we've got one last question, and then I think we'll wrap up the Q&A portion of the webinar. This question is asking how someone can get started using the results engine. That's also a great question. Our current customers can talk to us, and we can very easily add results engine to your current Innovation Central environment. It plugs right into your portal, the way you manage your user profiles and logins, and can then be used on the back end of any of your Innovation Central challenges. For new customers, you can use Innovation Central, or excuse me, you can use the Results Engine in conjunction with a new Innovation Central program, or you can also use Results Engine as a standalone product. So if you wanted to get started just with the Results Engine, we can give that product to you, and you can get started with that and learn down the road if you want to add any of our other Imaginatik products. All right, that looks like it's the end of our Q&A. So maybe I'll toss it back to Chris, and he can let us know of any other reminders as we wrap up.
Thanks very much, Molly. Hopefully all of you on the line today enjoyed our presentation. As you can see, Results Engine is a really robust solution that is powering the entire back end of innovation and the connection with the business. We do have big plans for it going forward. Some of you have mentioned a lot of really important topics for consideration as we continue to develop this product. If anything, I'd love to make sure that we stay connected with those of you that have interest in it, and especially that have ideas for where we should take it next. So we'll be following up with some of you as appropriate. For those of you that want to learn more about it, maybe want to see an in-person demo, want to learn how you can get started with it, you can contact us directly if you're already engaged, or of course feel free to follow up by going to our website. There is an information page on Results Engine at www.imaginatik.com, and you can click through to a contact form. We'll be happy to respond to any questions you have, and would love to get this in your hands so that you can really power innovation from end to end across your organization. So thanks again, everyone, for coming to our webinar today, and good luck with all your innovation efforts into 2012. Have a great day.